Peace, this is your host, Selah, Shalom. And the topic of discussion today is called Vengeance is Mine. Many have heard the statement, vengeance is mine, and many relate that to God, because he states that in the Bible. Once you find out, if you're not aware, that God is a title bestowed upon an angel, and that angel was a one-time mortal or human being like we are today. And as a mortal or human being, we carry characteristics of being vengeful, jealous, and angry. So when mortals cross over in the spirit world or atmospheric world belonging to the planet, the mortals carry those tendencies with them in spirit. So when an angel, which is a one-time mortal, decides to title himself God, and then say that I am an angry and jealous God, it is due to the fact that that God was a one-time mortal and had those same characteristics while immortal. And as an angel now, still carry those characteristics. And this is who you believe to be the creator, a one-time mortal. So the God that you worship in the Bible is not the creator, but an angel, titled God. Now I will go into the Bible to show God is vengeful, as stated. In the book of Nahum, chapter 1, verse 2, it states, "The Lord is a jealous and avenging God. The Lord is avenging and wrathful. The Lord takes vengeance on his adversaries and keeps wrath for his enemies." So here the Bible confirms that God is a vengeful God, a wrathful God, and an avenging God. These are the traits of the God in the Bible, the very God most people believe in. And if God is the creator, why would he have enemies and adversaries? I'm going to clear that up in a minute. Now in the book of Proverbs, chapter 6, verse 34, it states, verse 34, "For jealousy makes a man furious, and he will not spare when he take revenge." So here it states jealousy makes a man furious. So if God is a jealous God, he is also a furious God as well. I'm saying that to say that this is a false God. Any God that proclaimed to be a vengeful God, an avenging God, a jealous God, an angry God, these are of Satan's characteristics. Now in Psalms, everybody like to read the book of Psalms. Verse 94, verse 1, it states, "O Lord, God of vengeance, O God of vengeance, shine forth." Again, more proof from the Bible that God is a vengeful God and glories in vengeance. These are the characteristics of mortals and angels. Now, I just wanted to point out from the Bible that God is a vengeful God. Now I'm going to show in the OAHSPE how these are rebellious angels. Angels that set up heavenly kingdoms of their own, proclaiming themselves to be lords and gods with the characteristics of being vengeful, avenging, angry, and jealous. Now, in the book of Jehovah, chapter 8, verse 3 and 4, it states, verse 3, "Think not, O ye angels, that the resurrection of your heirs and their descendants that come up out of the earth is an easy matter and of steady progress, devoid of mishaps and woeful darkness." So here, this first verse is giving you a fair warning of how angels will become rebellious at times. Verse 4, "The angels under you shall become at times rebellious and defiant, disregarding your laws and decrees, and they shall desert your heavenly places and go down to the earth in millions and hundreds of millions, and they shall drive away the Ashars, the guardian angels, and then assume guardianship over mortals. But they shall develop no righteousness under the sun, but they will inspire mortals to war and destruction. And these angels will themselves take to war and evil on every hand within the place of your heavens." See that? These are the same angels that set up themselves as gods with the characteristics mentioned above, being rebellious, being vengeful and angry and jealous. And then these false gods make laws, statutes, and commandments for mortals to follow. And they use being vengeful, angry, and jealous as a tactic to keep mortals in fear and in bondage to that false god. Verse 7. An enemy shall take enemy in these heavens, and cast them in places of torment, which they have built, and they shall know no peace nor wisdom. Now, it stated that enemy shall take enemy. Now, false gods can be captured by other false gods. It just depends on the army, the strength that each gods come with, as being enemies to one another. So again, in the Bible, coming back now to the book of Nahum, where it stated in chapter 1, verse 2, where it states, the Lord takes vengeance on his adversaries, and he reserved wrath for his enemies. See that? So what enemies do God have? Coming back to the OAHSPE in verse 7, where it states, an enemy shall take enemy in these heavens. See, the Bible didn't let you know that there's other gods warring for position in the lower heavens. In fact, God got you subjected to him and don't want you to be aware of these other false gods. Because if you do become aware of these other gods, you may become worshipful to those gods and he may lose a subject. That's how it works with these false gods. And keep in mind, none of these are the creator. None of these false gods. So here, this verse just coincides with what OAHSPE is saying, that these are rebellious angels proclaiming to be the creator. Now, in the book of Thor, son of Jehovah, chapter 1, verse 12 through 15, it states, and in many of these heavenly kingdoms there are wars and anarchy, hells, where the angels torment one another endlessly. Nor will these false gods and false lords and their subjects admit that there are higher heavens than their own. See that? Verse 14. The wars in heaven inspire mortals to war on earth, so that all around the world everlasting battles are going on. Understand that as well. So anywhere on the earth plane where you see warfare, understand that that is being inspired by the angels who are inspiring the warfare. If there's war on earth in that region, there's war in heaven in that region also. As above, so below. Verse 15. And such as are slain on earth battlefields are born in spirit in chaos, not knowing they are dead as to earth life. And so they linger on the battlefields, still battling imaginary foes. See that? So all these wars is vengeance based. You do something to me, I do it back. And these are the results of vengeful acts. Now, Book of Divinity, chapter 17, verse 4 and 5, it states, verse 4, and presently the spirits ran for the king's and queen's soul of them who had been tyrants on earth. See that? And they caught them and brought them and cast them into hell also, taking vengeance on them with stripes and with foul smells. And hundreds and thousands of spirits went and gathered foul smells and cast them into hell and surrounded the hells on every side with foul gases so that none could escape. See that? These are the results of vengeful acts. So when the Bible say that God is vengeful, these are the conditions that await all who engage in vengeful activities. So the very God who has enemies can be captured himself and cast and tormented and tortured and put in hell, along with that God's followers. See that? Verse 5. So desperate became the madness upon them that even the tormentors rushed in, making a frolic of madness. And whosoever had an enemy on earth now ran for him and caught him in Hades, or hell, or in the lower heavens, and brought him, and others helped, and they took and cast him into the torments of hell. And those who had been slaves hundreds of years to Ahura, the false god, now caught every one they could lay hands on and drag them into hell. See that? So think of that for a minute. Anybody who has killed somebody, murdered somebody, and felt that they got away with it because they didn't do jail time, when you cross over in spirit, that very person who you killed can have vengeance on his mind and wait for you as you cross over and do exactly what just was described, what I just read to you in spirit. This is why the Creator said, thou shalt not murder, thou shalt not kill. It's because of the retaliation in spirit that comes behind it. That's what the Bible didn't tell you. But the OAHSPE makes this stuff clear. So this would be considered anarchy, rioting, the overthrowing of government. And notice it stated, and those who had been slaves for hundreds of years now caught everyone they could lay hands on and drag them into hell. So let's talk about slavery in America for a second. All those slaves that was treated foul and had to lose their life due to lynching through the hands of the European in this country. Those slaves can retaliate when those Europeans cross over in spirit. So in 2018, all those souls that passed away in the 1600s, both the slaves and slave master are now in spirit and could be in great turmoil due to what slave master did to the slaves. See that? There is nothing that you could do as far as to murder, to kill someone that you're not going to pay for. And you're going to pay for it by that person you did it to. Now, in the book of Ashong, son of Jehovah, chapter 9, verse 24 through 27, it states, verse 24, and now began wars in Atmospheria, thousands of angels against thousands, and millions against millions. Verse 25, for the possession of the sections of the earth, and the mortal inhabitants thereof, went forth these millions of warring angels. And it came to pass that mortals also fell to war, and by the obsessing angels were made to destroy their own cities and kingdoms. Verse 26, and the attraction of this great wickedness caused other angels of heaven to desert their schools and factories and descend down to mortals. See that? Verse 27, thus again were the kingdoms of true God and his lords set at naught, and the harvest of brides and bridegrooms had long since ceased to be. Now, when these vengeful acts take place, it stagnates the spiritual progression of getting to the Etherian realms. That's why it's stated, the harvest of brides and bridegrooms had long since ceased to be, meaning that no angels are graduating off the planet into the Etherian realms. They are stagnating and going backwards from the second atmospheric plane to the first atmospheric plane belonging to the earth, and then the earth itself, and engaging in earthly affairs, inspiring mortals to warfare, inspiring mortals to vengeful acts. When these wars are going on due to these false gods and their jealous and angry and vengeful tendencies, when these things are going on, it is the work of true God and his hosts to clear this up, to break up these hells. And by breaking up these hells, providing colleges and factories and places of education. So when they round up these spirits after breaking up these hells, they bring them to these plateaus and begin the restoring process, getting them back on cue, as stated in the book of Sepin Armaj, daughter of Jehovah, chapter 5, verse 20, it states, verse 5, and thou shalt have dominion over all angels that are already within the plateau of Mauritius, or such as may be hereafter sent to thee from other heavenly divisions and from the earth. And thou shalt provide thy kingdom unto the service of the Father, chiefly to prevent angels returning to the earth to obsess and pollute mortals. For thou shalt find hundreds of millions of them who have no aspiration but destruction. Many of them were slain in wars on earth and are still seeking vengeance. See that? And if escaping to the earth, obsess mortals to burn cities and to murder and to all manner of wickedness. See that? So your false God, your vengeful God, will be one of these who will be cast in hell due to the turmoil, due to enemy fighting enemy, gods fighting gods. And our duty would be to restore you all, clean up the hells, bring you to a heavenly plateau, and get you back on the right road. That's the labor and works of true God when these vengeful gods have fallen. And with that, I'd like to say peace and blessings and catch you on the next documentary. Peace.